see them getting on tonight against Aston Villa away from home in the FA Cup?
They lose for sure. There's no question about it. I actually believe Aston Villa are going to batter them. I think the squad is overrated. They have good players, but at what level? I think this squad, if you give it to Pep, he might challenge for top 4, but he might not make it. I believe some of these players are so overrated. It's unbelievable.
Like who's overrated?
I believe Levi Colwill is overrated. I believe Levi Colwill. I believe Raheem Sterling is overrated. I think Malo Gusto is a good player, but he's overrated. I believe Enzo, Caicedo are overrated.
Enzo Caicedo?
What do you mean overrated? Let me explain what I mean by overrated.
Let me just ask a question. So £250 million invested into those two.
Yeah,
what is it about them that's overrated in your opinion?
So people think that Caicedo is going to be Rodri and Enzo. Someone said he's going to be Pirlo or Modric. And I'm looking at them. And I think actually Enzo is so overrated. It's unbelievable. Like, he is a good player. People just don't understand. Sometimes you say overrated. Like Raheem Sterling is a good player, but he's the most overrated player in English football history ever. Like the way that Pep used him, this guy used to be compared to top wingers, to like Mohamed Salah and David Beckham and Ryan Giggs. People used to put him in these conversations because of Pep Guardiola. I believe he's so overrated. It's unbelievable. He's a good player. He's a 6 or a 7 out of 10 player. I believe Enzo Fernandez has the qualities, but he doesn't have the qualities of like the Bellinghams. I believe that there are a lot of more players that are better than him in the league. And I don't think he's that top of a player. I think they got scammed from 6 months at Benfica and a World Cup. They got scammed, bro. Seriously. Chelsea fans don't want to see it. Yes, he's good on the ball, moving the ball around and stuff like that. He's the same level as Zubamendi at Real Sociedad. People told me that Enzo Fernandez is one of the best midfielders in the league. Bro is so overrated when you watch him. The guy has 0 defensive attributes. He wants to play in a midfield in the Premier League and who has 0 defensive attributes. Paqueta is 5 times the player Enzo Fernandez is in both aspects of the game. It is unbelievable. Caicedo, though, in hindsight, and I'm going to say that because people are going to say, Mo, you said if Liverpool signed Caicedo, they're going to win the league. Number one, Liverpool have a system and have a better coach, right? Number 2, he was playing under De Zerbi, who was making Pascal Gross, and we spoke about this, and Billy Gilmore look very good. So he might have made Caicedo look absolutely fantastic, right? Caicedo looked better than Mac Allister in sometimes last year, and look at how the difference between both. Look, if you are asking anybody now, would you take Mac Allister or Caicedo? It's no brainer. They'll tell you I'll take Mac Allister. In my opinion, Chelsea are overrating their players. Their players are good. They're good, talented youngsters that you can get something out of them. But a lot of people told us, no, these players are ready now to win now. They told us are ready now. The money they spent, and I'm going to say this as many times as I can. These players, the amount of money spent, you should be challenging for the league. But realistically, you aren't even challenging for top 4. Okay, you're not listening to me, Sava. You aren't listening. If you ask any team in the world that spent that much money, they should be challenging for the league. But realistically, yes.
Two different things.
Now you're listening.
I heard you the first time. 2 different things.
What do you mean? I literally said the same.
Two different things. Should they be challenging for the league after spending £1 billion?
Yes.
I would say normally a club, yes, but not for me. I've said this so many times. After trying to do it in 3 windows, I said you can't do it. You cannot put a squad together in 3 windows, change everything about. Let's be fair. If you look at Chelsea 2 years ago, let's just go back 2 years, right? Don't even have to go further back than that. Look at this football club from 2 years ago to today. Every single aspect of this football club is different. The scouts, the director of football, the managers, the owners, nearly all of the players other than Thiago Silva and Sterling, Sterling's actually been there the last 2 years, right? The whole club, they've tried to do a kind of overhaul project like what Pep and Klopp have done at Liverpool and City, but they've tried to do it in such a short space of time that I just think it's madness. Now, I agree with you. Normally, if you're going to spend £1 billion, so if you spend £1 billion over 4 or 5 years, I'm saying, that's now your squad. You've got to be going and winning. The problem with Chelsea for me is what they've done is everyone knew they had money. So they were their own worst enemies because they tried to do so much so quick. Everyone went, hang on, you want this player? All right. Well, this player's probably 70 million. we want 110, please. And Chelsea was so desperate to change everything like that they were going, yeah, Paul, cool. Caicedo is a very good footballer. Enzo Fernandez is a very good footballer. They are products of their surroundings. We've seen this many times throughout the last, I'll say, few decades, forever. Some players, they're in a club, it doesn't quite work because of the system, because of the manager, because the club's not doing well. You drop them into another scenario, all of a sudden you go, God, where was that player? Right? If you dropped Enzo Fernandez right now into the Man City midfield, right? No one's sitting there going, oh, this guy isn't a good player, he can't do this, because he's playing in a winning team, in a winning formula, in a better system that plays football with a top manager. So I'm not saying these players are brilliant, but the problem is they've tried getting loads of good young footballers and going, go on, gel. And I don't think that can work for, I don't know, I'll ask you two. No? Has that ever worked for any football club before? I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's never worked. It's never worked. And people will quote and try and state the class of 92, but they came into a team with Schmeichel, Pallister, Bruce, Cantona, McClare, Cole. There was so much experience. And some of those class of 92 players were playing the previous season when the Kanchelskis and the Paul Inces and Mark Hughes were still at the football club. So they were bed into a team. And Gary Neville spoke about this when United had a really young team on the beginning of Ollie. And they said, how good do you think they're going to become? And Gary Neville said something which I believe is true. You never know how good a young player is going to become. Every single young player has, they can have brilliant ability, world-class ability, generational ability, but that doesn't dictate they're going to become the player their ability suggests they may be. And if you don't have elder statesmen who are in good nick, that are ingrained within your club, it's very hard for the young players. Mainu right now is looking great for Man United. Young Garnacho starting to do his bits. But if you threw them into the Chelsea team, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing right now. Because who would they have had to learn off? In fact, the front line's really struggled this year with Rashford having his problems, with Garnacho and Højlund starting together because they're both so young. They're now starting to find a little bit of chemistry, but they're still very, very young. What they really need is someone who's a little bit older, a little bit more experienced to help guide them. But we're nowhere near the level that Chelsea have got problems with. I don't think Enzo or Caicedo are necessarily overrated by the standard football fan. I think, of course, there are some that will talk about them like they are Xavi and Iniesta. And, oh, my God, when them two start a game together, it's going to be the best midfield pairing in the league. Yes, I agree. Anyone who thinks like that was crazy. I think individually they're brilliant. I was annoyed when Chelsea got them. But to get collectively together in this team with for me, a manager that isn't good enough, they're drowning and they're being damaged. And where I get the same sense as I've seen at United with a number of our players that come in, you buy them young with hype, you buy them old with good experience, and they fall away. You know, they absolutely fall away into the oblivion. So I feel sorry for them. I get where you're coming from, Mo. I don't think you're.
Why do you feel sorry for them?
I feel sorry for them. But I feel sorry for them on a professional sense because I don't think the players.
I agree. I feel sorry for the players.
I don't. They have 8-year contract. Their future is secured. I think they signed this contract. I think they chose wrong.
Yeah, but that's not. But there's a difference, Mo. There's a difference between looking at. There's a difference between looking at a player and saying, "Oh, that player's financially sound for 8 years. He's got a contract," and there's a difference between looking at it and saying, "Are they going into environments that are good?" Yeah. They're in an environment now where, and you could say maybe that's their fault for choosing to go there. And I'm not excusing Chelsea. I think the place is a mess, and I really didn't.
So they chose the money, so I don't feel sorry for them. So.
I don't think they chose the money. I think that's an oversimplification.
They were going to get paid wherever they went. Let's be fair. Wherever Enzo Fernandez went, are you telling me that Caicedo had gone to Liverpool? He's not getting paid handsomely.
He wasn't going to get 8-year contract, 100%.
No, I never said that. He's still going to get paid. He might get a 5-year contract.
Everybody's going to get paid. Everybody's going to get paid, ever.
Right.
No.
But there's a difference between looking at young. Listen, they are, at the end of the day, they are still a lot of young players. Yeah, there's a lot of young players there. For me, what they needed to do was bring in a couple of very experienced footballers to be around them. So in the summer, when you're seeing the likes of Kovacic has gone, right? You look at all the other players like Kovacic in the midfield, Mount. I'm not saying these are brilliant players, by the way, but my point is the experience that you've lost from Kovacic, Mount. Who's the other one that went? Did Kante go? They lost all their experience. And now you look at their midfield, whichever way you spin it, you've got Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Conor Gallagher, Chuck Wamaker. These are all young kids that have got no one to look around at and go, oh, that's how you do it. This is the guy to settle us down. You know, at the back, yeah, you got Thiago Silva, who's old. But other than that, it's very young again. Up front, it's all very young. For me, that's where I think they've gone wrong. They put some
the
good
club. The
footballers.
club has gone wrong. You're talking about
Agreed.
the club.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, but the players, though, why do you think Caicedo chose Chelsea over Liverpool?
His agents already said why, because they'd already agreed and they wanted to stick with the agreement. So
they'd
already
said yes. Going to say that. I don't believe his agent because there's no way he was going to choose.
That's what we know. I don't
I'm being logical, Terry. I'm being logical.
I know there's an extra 3 years on the deal. Liverpool would have offered a 5-year deal. Chelsea offered an 8-year deal. Yes, that's a guarantee of more money in his career. But how many players of the level we're talking about have you seen? You know, by the time they're 25, have to retire because of a bad injury or something in a modern day game. It's very unlikely at the end of that 5 years at Liverpool, we wouldn't have seen Caicedo kick a ball again. And finances are definitely a motivation for certain people. But where I say I feel sorry for them is these are young, they've been given bad advice, in my opinion. They've been given bad advice because even if the project at Chelsea, you know, was the way you've got to look at it is this. Your agent should be looking at this and saying, hang on a bloody minute, they find 151 kids. They're signing no experienced players. This could go wrong for all these reasons. It's a great offer. It's a great deal. Thank you for your interest. But Caicedo, I don't think this is the right place for you. And Enzo's is a little different because he kind of came in. He came in halfway through, so they hadn't signed as many of these young players at that point. But I think it's bad advice. And I think that's where I feel sorry for them because as much as you're looking at this, I don't quite know how old you are, Mo, but I'm going to guess you're about 35, right? And
yeah, about 32.
Okay, 32. Oh, he's 32.
I'm not, bro. Anyway, I'm older than you.
Okay. Sorry, I've been nice, right? So we're all a bit older. We've been through life. We view things as older men. When you're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, your brain don't work like it works now. In fact, your brain isn't even fully formed until you're 25. So when it comes to this decision-making of this level with such emotive subjects, you need good advice around you. You don't need emotion, and you don't need agents that are looking for the money. Maybe the agent went for the money, absolutely. But there's so many cases and so many stories of players being misrepresented. And I think that, again, hindsight's lucrative. I wasn't calling this stuff out when it was going on because I thought, and I believe that the people that Chelsea had hired to come in and run the club from Leipzig and all the other places, I thought, well, they know what they're doing. So I know there's some speculation that it's going to be really bad. I just thought that was a little bit of you're chatting nonsense. But I have to put my hands up and say I got this wrong as an outsider looking in. This is an absolute mess. Now the stories are coming out, and you're like, wow. You know, if I knew then what I knew now, I definitely would have a difference of opinion. So I do feel a little bit sorry for these players. Not on a financial level. I don't feel sorry for them on a personal level because they're millionaires. Great. I'm talking about their career development because if Chelsea don't turn things around soon, some of these players' careers are going to be wasted, and I do feel for that. That's just me personally.
Don't you think as well, though? Like, and look, as I've said, sack him. I don't care. It's nothing to do with me at the end of the day. I get the feeling that it looks like a club where he's not got the input. So as much as we want to blame him, I get the feeling it looks like a club where it's very much like he's just getting players chucked in front of him. And it just looks like, again, he's not really had the input to say, this is who I want, this is who I don't want. Because it's a really unbalanced squad. Like, to spend that much money and still you've not got a striker and still you've ended up with those two goalkeepers. Now, to be fair, is it Petkovic has actually done okay. Whenever I've watched him, he doesn't look dreadful. But you've ended up with no centre forward of note and no goalkeeper of note. You've still got Thiago Silva playing at the age of, 38, 39, whatever he is. And I look at it and I think, this doesn't look to me like he's had all the input. Now, that could be said for many managers across different clubs. But if you are going to lift and shift 25, 30 footballers in 3 windows, that's in 18 months, you're going to go, right, here's a brand new group of players. I don't know why anyone thought they'd be challenging for a title. I said this at the beginning of the season. People going, they've got to win the league. I just don't see.
What are you saying, Sava? What are you saying, Sava? Then he's not to blame. for being 11th.
No. I'm saying the whole. Listen,
you're trying to make excuses for them. You're really trying to make excuses.
No, I'm not. Listen to what I'm saying.
Oh, literally, you are.
Love you,
Mo. Listen to what I'm saying. For me, he's not helping himself with the decisions he makes. He's not helping himself, and on that basis, he should go in any other walk of life. Then I said, look, that's one bucket. Then look at this bucket over here. I think they've bought really, really badly in terms of putting a squad together. 3, I think they've prepared badly. As well as buying badly, they've prepared badly, trying to do everything in 18 months. I'm not excusing him, but no, I don't care. I wanted him sacked at Spurs. There's no Poch love from me. But at the end of the day, anyone who goes, they should be winning the league just because £1 billion was spent, for me, that's really making it black and white when it's not. I don't think they should be anywhere near the title. They're not that good.
I agree they shouldn't be, based on what they have and what they're doing. But when you invest £1 billion into a team that had just won the Champions League,
agreed.
You know, imagine this: Arsenal haven't even won the Champions League. But genuinely, if you spent £1 billion on this Arsenal squad now, there's no way you wouldn't be expecting it to dominate English. If you just in the next 12 months, you put £1 billion more into it, you would be saying, oh, you've got to be beating City.
Got to win the league. You would see you got to win the league, not challenge. If you don't win, you're out.
Well, the best part of £1 billion. So in terms of, we've got a super chat here, actually, I want to do first that says...